It's safe to say that Kaspa mining isn't exactly as hot today as it was about 2 years ago. Thanks to downwards price action and Kaspa's aggressive mining reward reductions, the network hash rate has actually started shrinking due to, well, just straight up lack of profitability mining the coin. And it's right in the middle of this that IceRiver has just released 2 new Kaspa miners with, to be fair, a significant improvement in mining efficiency. But is that enough to push them into profitability? Is there any chance of them actually breaking even and making you some money? And maybe most importantly, what does the long-term landscape of Kaspa mining actually look like right now? Well, I've done the math on all of that. So in this video, I'm going to break it all down in a way that's easy to understand. After this quick word from our sponsor, Coin Mining Central, which is an online store for ASIC miners with an over 6-year track record of overwhelmingly positive customer reviews. They have all the latest and most profitable miners, from silent home miners to full-size ASICs. They can even provide immersion cooling systems and offer great bulk pricing on ASICs. And with that in mind, Dogecoin miners are always on my radar as they let you merge mine multiple coins without using extra power, with more mining rewards from new coins being added regularly. The 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗠 is probably the best bet there for something silent, suitable for mining at home, which also runs on 120 volt. However, in terms of full-size ASICs, I'm currently looking at the 𝗙𝗥_1+ from 𝗙𝗥𝗡, because I think that probably offers the best balance between power efficiency and value for money currently. Based in the UK, Coin Mining Central prioritizes great customer support, strict personal detail protection, and free worldwide shipping on all miners with no additional payment fees at checkout. You can also utilize their loyalty and referral programs to save on your next purchase. Plus, use my link down in the video description and code 𝗬𝗑 at checkout for a roughly $130 discount on every miner in your order priced over £1,000. So check out that link below together with the code to save on your purchase. Now, as a rule on my channel, I don't make negative videos, because if I think a product, service, or whatever is bad, then I'd rather just bring no attention to it at all. But I will make an exception to that rule with this video, because I believe the Kaspa ASIC manufacturers just really need a reality check here. I'm going to go in depth on why I'm saying that in just a little bit. Just to start the video off, of course, buying any mining hardware always comes with a bit of a risk, but there are definitely, in my opinion, not financial advice, much better options available right now than any Kaspa miner. For example, if you still want something that's a bit high risk, high reward, then IceRiver's Aleo miner will actually start shipping pretty soon now. And I think I'm actually a bit more positive on Aleo miners than a lot of other people. And I do go in depth on why that is in a previous video that I made. So I'll link that at the end of this video as well as in this video's description. But if you instead want something a bit more tried and true, then I believe both the 𝗙𝗥𝗡's 𝗙𝗥𝗢𝗠, which mines Dogecoin, Litecoin, and a bunch of other coins, or the new 𝗙𝗢𝗚 series of miners which mine Ethereum Classic, Octaspace, and also another bunch of other coins, are both going to be much better options than any Kaspa miner at this point. All 3 of these miners that I've just mentioned are also home mining friendly since they're silent, work on both 120 and 240 volt, don't pull a lot of power, and are just generally pretty easy to set up. So rather than linking any Kaspa miners, I'm going to link these miners down in the video description instead. And down there I'll also put some discount codes that you can use to get a bit of money off the price on them if you do decide to go for either of them. Now, with that out of the way, let's just have a straight up look at the current landscape of Kaspa mining and Kaspa miners. And these 2 new miners that IceRiver have just released are these ones, the IceRiver KS7, as well as their mini at-home friendly box miner with the same chip, the IceRiver KS7 Lite. And as you can see, they go for around $1,000 and about $5,000 respectively. But instead of getting caught just looking at these, let's instead hop on over to this very in-depth spreadsheet that I have been developing for, well, over 2 years now, I think, well over 1 year at least. And I've always linked this to you guys whenever I show it off in a video. I will in this video as well, so link to it down in the video description. Essentially, what it lets you do is it lets you input some just expectations and predictions for stuff like how much you expect Kaspa's network hash rate to grow and how much you believe the coin price will increase before you sell it, as well as what your power price is. And then the spreadsheet based on those numbers spits out kind of your predicted, mining earnings just based on those numbers. Of course, you can't tell the future and you don't know what's going to happen in the future, but just based on solely the numbers that we have, currently available, this is what it would give you. And most importantly, this spreadsheet does take into account Kaspa's roughly 5% reduction in mining emissions every single month. And for those of you who might be new, essentially with Kaspa, the just overall amount of coins that they pay out to miners is reduced by roughly 5% every single month. And that just straight up means that your mining rewards are reduced by 5% each and every month, on top of any sort of reductions that might happen due to the network hash rate growing or anything else like that. But I've added the new IceRiver KS7 and KS7 Lite in the spreadsheet here. You can see the price and just the overall amount of hash rates, the power draw, and then it also gives you the efficiency in terms of watts per gigahash, as well as the price in terms of dollars per gigahash. And then you can immediately see here, based on a 15 cents per kilowatt hour power price, this thing will never ROI. And that's based on just straight up the profitability as of today. So this little field here does not take the emission reduction into account, or network hash rate growth, or price change, or anything like that. Just straight up based on just today's profitability with these miners, they are not gonna ROI. So then we get into looking into the future and okay, well, is there sort of any hope if we talk about coin price growth and the network hash rate shrinking perhaps? Because that's kind of the way we have to look at Kaspa mining now. Used to be, a couple of years ago that we would look at, okay, just how much can the network hash rate grow while still allow us to ROI our machines. Whereas now we're kind of singing a different kind of song here. So let's just start out by saying, let's expect the coin price to not grow at all. And let's just say that the network hash rate is essentially going to stay stagnant or grow by 1 petahash, or we can even say 0, doesn't really make that big of a change. And let's just imagine that we are not going to resell our miner too, just to take that out of the equation. And also I feel like 15 cents per kilowatt hour is a pretty standard power price, especially for, the kind of miners they are targeting with this KS7 Lite, which is a at-home miner. So I'm assuming they are targeting home miners with it, which means, home miners, they usually have slightly more expensive power compared to like big industrial mining farms that can get away with stuff like 5 cents per kilowatt hour. But let's say 15 for now, and let's not dwell on that for too long. And let's just see here how much we get. So if we just move down month over month, we can see, how much Kaspa we are mining with these two, and just kind of how close we get to break even. And if you're noticing a trend here, it is that we're getting further and further away from breaking even as opposed to getting closer. And, spoiler alert, that is because these things aren't even profitable today. So how are you going to get closer and closer to ROI if we are not expecting Kaspa's coin price to grow from here, and with the emissions being reduced every single month? Of course, we're just going to make less and less and less. And if we're already negative, we're just going to be more and more negative the further we get. So all the way down here, we're going to end up with, being very much in the red, right? So what does it take to even ROI on these machines, considering the emissions reductions? And you'd essentially need to have very, very cheap power. So again, with no coin price growth but also no network hash rate growth, let's look at something like 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, then we're at least being profitable as of today. But we can see here that it's not really enough to keep us profitable for more than about 4 months, because then again, our quote unquote final profit here, which is negative, is going down again. So take network hash rate growth out of the equation, and still just with the emissions reductions, you are only going to be profitable, and only barely so, for about 4 months, and that's with 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So let's have a look at 5 cents per kilowatt hour then. How about then? Okay, we're obviously now profitable with these things. Are we ever going to break even? And a good way to look at that is just, is this final profit here ever, positive? So let's just scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Month 13. No, it doesn't seem like it. And now the profitability is dipping down again here. So no, we never got close to breaking even. As a matter of fact, we never got closer than about $800 away on the KS7 Lite, and about 3,500 or so on the KS7 full-size ASIC miner. And guys, this is at 5 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, of course, this is not with any sort of coin price growth taken into account here. But then again, if you're taking coin price growth into account, and this is a big caveat, but if you can buy crypto or buy mining hardware at a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of how much money you can spend on it, for most people, it's not like that, because buying mining hardware, you're mining as a business. There's a big tax incentive there. For example, for me, I can actually spend about twice as much money on crypto mining hardware than I could if I wanted to buy crypto directly. That's just how it works out. 50% tax here, whatever. Let's move on. So all of that just to say, if you can buy crypto like that, then if you're having to ROI on a miner like this by expecting the coin price to grow up, I mean, you can put in, 100x in Kaspa's coin price, and yeah, of course, you're gonna make a crap ton of money, right? But the point is that if you put just 1 here, it shows you how much more or less you would have made compared to just buying the coin, again, on that 1-to-1 ratio. So essentially what it means is, will buying this miner make you more money, paying for the miner and paying for the electricity to run the miner? Will it make you more money than just straight up buying the coin instead? And obviously, even at 5 cents per kilowatt hour here, the answer is no. So what would it actually take? Well, it would take the network hash rate to kind of shrink. And again, we can't just estimate that the network hash rate will shrink forever. But let's just see what that does. So let's see, it shrinks by 50 petahash per month here. Is that gonna outpace the emission schedule? Let's see, it does. And we actually do end up in profitability then after about 2 years, albeit not by that much. I'm also going to be completely honest, I don't know how reliable this spreadsheet is at calculating a negative trend in the network hash rate, especially over such a long period, because there are so many factors there. So I think instead, let's just leave it at 0 and look at coin price growth instead. So let's just say with these two, how much of a price growth is required for these to actually ROI in 2 years? So really giving it the longest possible time here. So what if Kaspa's price doubles? Well, it's looking okay then. What about if it triples in price? Okay, then we are actually ending up with a bit of profit here. But again, in that case, you could have just bought the coin instead, and you would have made more money, because you ended up spending, for example, with this KS7 Lite, about $1,000 on the miner itself. And as we can see here, the total money spent, you've also spent about $400 on power of the 2 years, which means if you just would have paid $1,400 buying the Kaspa coin, and the Kaspa coin would have tripled in price, instead of having a profit of $302, again, that's your profit over what you initially paid. So if you would have invested 1,400 into Kaspa instead, you would have had an extra $2,800 on top of the 1,400 that you spent buying the coin if the coin price tripled. And so again, this is with these brand new miners that just came out. So to me, all this shows is just that right now is not a good time to get into Kaspa mining. Not financial advice, obviously. I'm just kind of letting you guys know what I'm seeing and what this spreadsheet that I've coded is telling me. Of course, I would always encourage you to download the spreadsheet, input your own predictions, and just base any sort of decision on your own predictions and circumstances rather than what any old guy on the internet is saying. So please do keep that in mind. And over here on the screen, I'll put my video about Aleo miners that I spoke about a little bit earlier in the video. So go check that out and I'll see you there. Thank you for watching.